I've wanted a good Gundam game since I was 10 years old, watching Gundam Wing and G Gundam on Toonami. That was my first experience. I've been looking for one ever since. And as a kid, all we had was Cartoon Network flash games. One was called Gundam Wing Assault, which is really just kind of playing checkers with rock, paper, scissors game with Gundam pictures in the background. And I remember playing this game for hours because this is all we had. And I always wanted a little bit more. Then there was Zone of Enders First to Mars on Game Boy Advance, which gave you a robot fighting game feel, but it was not Gundams. It was good, but it wasn't what I wanted. Eventually we found a bootleg copy of Gundam Battle Assault on PlayStation 1, which was a Street Fighter clone. It was a good game for what it was. It gave you a Gundam feel, it gave you Gundam animations. It was not a great fighting game. It did not blow the top off anything as far as I remember. Maybe I should go back and play it again. But I just remember it being a very adequate game and playing this for hours on end at sleepovers because this was the closest thing we had to a Gundam game at the time. And then I don't remember playing a Gundam game again for a very, very, very long time. None of these ever gave me the experience I was looking for. And then I finally found the demo for SD Gundam Battle Alliance. My only problem was digital copy only in the United States. And I like physical copies, so I jumped on PlayAsia and ordered a copy up. It even came with a pre-order code for some unlocks. You just need to remember if you're going to use one of these, you need a Japanese or foreign account on your Switch to redeem the code. Now I've heard complaints about the roster in this game. There's a large roster, at least to me it feels like a large roster. Thing is I see where the complaints are coming from. If you're like me and you've only watched Gundam Wing and G Gundam because you experienced Gundam on Toonami as a kid and then you never followed up on any of their series, well, there's only 2 units from each of those shows in the game, and 3 of them you don't unlock until a lot later in the game. The DLCs have been added, I haven't got them yet, but they all add Gundams from other shows. Lucky for me, while I was waiting for this game, I decided to go on Netflix and see what they had, and I watched Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. And I'm glad I did because a large part of the story in this game revolved around that show. Without spoiling the game for you, basically, you're jumping from key battles in every Gundam show with broken histories and wrong units in the battles, and then going and fighting in the correct battle. If you're super into Gundam and you know all the shows, you'll absolutely love this game and it'll make perfect sense to you as soon as you get into each battle. If you're not really, if you're kind of more like me, who's a casual fan, you're in and out of them so fast you don't really connect with a lot of the characters. On top of that, my copy was in Japanese. Maybe that's the whole game, but at least my copy was with English subtitles. So there's a lot of reading to understand the story, and you have to be up for that. It's not just robot battle for robot battle. There's long cutscenes with a story going on the backside to tie all this together. Overall, though, there's enough units in the game that as long as you know some Gundams, you'll be able to play with at least one unit that you like and know, team up with an ally of another, and if you know more than one show, you can have multiple allies that you know, at least characters you can connect with. So even when you are in a mode where you're playing a Gundam series where you don't know anyone, at least your team you understand and you can stay somewhat connected to the game. At least that's how I felt. Gundam SD Battle Alliance is an action RPG. The upgrade system is pretty good. Now, if you played it before the last week or so, you might not agree with me, but there was a recent update that boosted all the credit drop rates in the game by 5 to 10, depending on the difficulty. And that's not 5 to 10%, that's 5. Like, I was making 13,000 credits in a battle. I'm going in and making 130,000 or 200,000 now. And before they did that, this game just seemed like an unbelievable grind. I actually jumped down to the easy mode for a lot of the game because I got to a point where I put all my credits into my unit and it was only like level 30 and I was just getting crushed, and level 50 was the max at the time. So I had to go down to easy mode because I didn't want to just grind the same level over again for levels. Now they've patched that and you can easily level up your unit. Well, not easily, but you can do it in a more manageable fashion. The big issue I've had with games recently also is that I feel like a lot of games come out unpolished with broken things and then they just move on. They'll drop DLC that adds new content, but they'll never fix what's broken. And something that's really caught my eye here is I looked at the DLC, I was thinking about it, I saw there was an update to the game, I updated it. I went and read the patch notes. Not only did it change the credits, it changed the targeting system. It changed stats for certain units, changed damage, input, output on certain levels to balance the game better. It's not often you see games getting balanced, a few months after release on Switch or other systems these days. Yeah, honestly, credit to the developers for taking the time to do it, because those were unpaid updates, and honestly, it just makes the game better. Now, when you are playing, there are 3 kinds of attacks that each fighter has, and there are 3 types of fighters. There's a in-fighter, which is melee, an all-around, which has a mix, and then a range character. I've been playing, I believe, a range or an in-fighter the whole time, and I tried to pair my allies up with units that weren't exactly the same as me. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's people that have gone and found the exact perfect set of units to use. I have not gone that far into it. I'm just playing for fun. The thing that you have to remember, though, is if you look at the top left there, each of my allies right now has a little yellow diamond, or I don't know what you'd call it, triangle next to them on the right side of their health bar. That's their special ability. You need to remember you're the one who has to trigger that for them. It took me way too long in this game to figure that out. If I'd known that earlier, could have made the game a little easier, I think. Overall, so far, I've put 30-something hours into this game. I did beat the game on easy mode. I'm going back on the last few levels of normal mode to unlock the hard mode. I have not committed to getting any DLC for it, but I did have a great experience. This is a good Gundam fighting game. Like, for a Gundam game, I'd say this is good. For a robot mech game, I'd say this is a good game. For action RPGs, I'm not sure. It's not a genre I typically play, usually, and I'm sure there are better ones out there. But if you're into Gundams, if you're into mechs, I would say get this game. I would say play this game. I wouldn't say go out 100% at getting each unit to level 100. It's something I've done for other games in the past. The one that comes to mind is the Marvel Ultimate Alliance from a few years ago. I wouldn't do that in this game. I would just have fun with it with the units you like and ignore the ones that you don't. Obviously, the only thing I haven't talked about here is that if you're not into the SD Gundams, you're not going to like this game. I honestly think the art style is really good, because full-size mechs in the way this game is designed just would have been almost clunky, I think, or just taking up too much screen. I think this format works really good. It's really grown on me. I was never a big SD Gundam fan throughout the years, but in games over the last two years, I've played 2 Gundam games now, and this is the second one that's SD, and I've really enjoyed it. So if you decide to get this game, let me know what you think. If you don't get the game, let me know what you think of the game and why you're not going to get it. And let me know what your favorite Gundam is. Honestly, I'm kind of biased right now for Barbados because I just watched Iron Blooded Orphans, but my all-time favorite is Heavy Arms. Sorry, Tro is my favorite. Death Slice up there, but Burning Gundam too. But Heavy Arms, especially Endless Waltz Heavy Arms, is my favorite Gundam of all time. I don't know, I've had fun with this game. I'd recommend it, but let me know what you guys think.